Hello, everyone, and thank you for hopping on. I don't know what happened with the introduction, but you are now viewing the Love Experience show. Thank you for being here with us, and I appreciate you guys as well. Okay, I'm having some technical issues right now. Sorry, you guys. Okay, here it is. All right. So, thank you for being here with me. Today, I have the honor of working with my aunt and uncle, Linda and David Elias. I know if you read the description, you saw that I said they were the pros because they are. They've been married for 47 years. You guys are you're pros at something.
Something, right?
You've been together for a long time. So um I thank you guys for joining me on my show, The Love Experience.
You're welcome. Thank you for having us.
No problem. Thank you. So why don't you go a little more in depth with who you are?
Oh, you want me to start first?
Yes,
okay. He said he was going to do that. But anyhow, as you said, we're your aunt and uncle. I think you're probably eldest aunt and uncle. I'm Linda. This is David. We've been married 47 years. It'll be 48 years in October. Yeah. And we met in high school.
Wow.
So, boy, we were so young. We met in a history class, and David was new to the school, and he came in like one of the, hard guys. He was
Okay.
bad, super bad, cool, and I didn't like him. It was like, oh man, here come another one of these jokers kind of attitude. And then he sat behind me and he would do little things like I would reach for my book and he pushed the desk away or just, yes, just aggravating things. And then
got your attention, didn't I?
yes, you got my attention. That was slick. You want to take over?
No,
no, you got to talk too, babe, about us running you through the town.
Oh man.
What is that? Running? I don't think I heard that story.
Well, you know the town we live in,
Mm-hmm.
and you know how when you first move here, all the houses look alike.
Yes.
Well, I had just moved here, but maybe 2 months before school started.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna walk with them after school. Her and one of her friends. Was that Rhonda?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Rhonda, that lived up the street. And I'm gonna walk with them and walk them home. It's in town. They can't be but so far. Well, those two take off and start running all behind houses and in between and all that. And by the time we got to Mama and Papa's house, where am I? I have no idea. I had no idea how to get home.
We were trying to lose them. That we would lose them, so we just took off running. But then he kept pursuing, and eventually we started dating.
Yep.
Yeah.
How long was the pursuit?
A week.
Oh.
You got it like that, Uncle David.
Well, what can I say?
It was more than a week, but anyhow.
It was a couple of weeks. It was still at least maybe about the third or fourth football game.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And then we started dating, and then David was a senior, I was a junior, and well, we became teenage parents.
Okay.
So there was a time of separation. He went to college, and I went to a place called Heartsease. I think they're still in existence. I'm going to give a shout out to them. And at that time, it was a place in my generation. It wasn't like, you know, the TV show Teen Mom. All it wasn't sort of glamorized, if for lack of a better word. You were sent, if your parents had the means to do it, they either sent you to a relative or to a home for unwed mothers.
Mm.
So that's where I went. And then I guess maybe 6 months or so, we weren't together. And then we eventually got back together. I think it was actually a year, because our daughter, our first oldest child, was born, and she was probably a couple months before we actually got back together.
Okay.
And then got back together and got married. I was 18.
Mm-hmm.
David was 19. So in reality, it's a miracle that, you know, we still sit here together 47 years later, because you know the statistics for teenage marriages. And I think that, well, I don't believe David can speak for himself. I don't believe he went into it even with the thought of not making it. Honestly, I did.
Okay.
You know, I had my backup plan, so to speak.
Okay, so we're gonna pause right there for 1 second. So, clarification on you got back together. Is that a breakup got back together, or after you came back from the home for unwed mothers got back together?
It was a breakup. I would call it more a breakup, get back together. I was still living in New York.
Mm.
Afterwards, I was living with my aunt and uncle, Aunt Loretta and Uncle Junior, who are both deceased now, and my cousins Kathy and Joy. So I lived with them for a while, and then when it was time for me to come back to finish school, I came back and I finished my senior year, and came back to our hometown, finished my senior year. And then the summer after my senior year, I got a job in New York in Harlem for Model Cities, which was actually, the offices were right over the Apollo Theater.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
And so my first job was a college aide, and I worked in a park in New York.
At 125th Street.
Yeah, well, the park was on 127th, but unfortunately, there were children who didn't have childcare during the day, you know, because of financial reasons, and their parents used to just leave them in the park.
Oh, wow. Okay.
All day. And so they hired what they call college aides, and our job was to sit in the park all day, play games, do activities with the children who left in the park. And then somewhere in that time, we got back together.
So we want to know, because I'm getting messages on Facebook. What was the backup plan?
I was determined that no matter what, I was going to do what I needed to do to take care of my daughter and myself. So I was going to get some type of education. I always wanted to be a nurse, but go back to school, whatever. I can remember saying to myself, if I have to sweep the streets, I'll do that to, you know, provide for us. So my backup plan was to have some type of means of employment that I could be self-sufficient. Things went south, you know, I could still live,
right,
with my daughter. Yeah. that was my backup plan. So I did go back to school, but it wasn't right away. I'm jumping ahead. And we got married, and like all marriages, you have those years that there's just, bumps in the road, and you think, I can't do this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that kind of pushed me to go back to school because I didn't know where it was going.
Okay.
So that's when I started going back to school, and I ended up in nursing school. I originally went back to school for accounting.
So,
Yeah, when I was like, I can't do this anymore because I was working for a bank. But nursing was always my heart. So by the time I ended up in nursing school, which was probably maybe 6 years, 7 years later, we had finally kind of gotten to, or I had finally kind of gotten to the point that it's like, okay, I think this can work. But now I'm going back to school, still just in case, but also so that we could have a better life.
So, okay, you went to nursing school before I was even born, like way before, or no?
You were no.
Okay.
It was after you were born.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, I went to nursing school. David, our youngest child, was in junior high, his last year of junior high, entering high school.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, let me ask you, Uncle David, because you're kind of quiet. So that period where you guys were not together, what were you feeling? What were you doing during that period?
I was going to school. I was at Rutgers, an engineering major.
Okay.
And I was young and stupid. I don't know what I was doing.
He was hanging out.
And I think I got to the end. We got to the end of the school year, that first year, and it was like, this isn't right. This isn't right. And we started talking over the summer, and we were married by October.
Wow.
So when we started talking, he was actually seeing somebody else. He was dating someone else. And I want to share this because I think it'll help somebody. Some of my friends were sending me messages like telling me who he was dating. I saw him such and such a place with so and so. And I think that helped to plant the seed that this isn't gonna work. We're just not gonna be together. And that seed just grew because when we first got back together and he was seeing someone else, you remember he actually called me from that person's house.
You did?
And she had a child. I won't say the name. And child must have went and said something about him being on the phone. And the girl's mother got on the phone, and I heard her yelling, he's on the phone with another woman.
Oh.
And then he hung up. You don't even remember that. I'm not going to say any names. If I
He's
say
looking
names,
puzzled.
Litho? Okay. And so that was, I think, one of the first calls kind of us getting back together. So then that even kind of watered that seed that, I better have a backup plan.
Okay. It's making sense now. Okay.
Yeah.
So what I guess the person you were dating, that wasn't a serious thing because you left her, it sounds like, quickly after talking.
Quite.
I did not know that you dated somebody else besides my aunt. This is an awakening moment for me. I'm joking, but that is helpful for somebody because you let people get in your ear, they can tear your relationship up. Most definitely.
Yeah. And I dated other people, but nothing serious. Nothing that was like, oh, this is my cousin's boyfriend's friend or something like that. So I don't even know if you call that dating, but
you were exploring.
Okay.
So go ahead. I'm sorry. I had to jump in and
clarify.
Yes, clarify. I was trying to use another word, but yes, clarify.
Yeah, so I mean, we got married, and our first apartment. Oh my God!
Woo!
That was. We lived upstairs from a drug dealer.
Oh my
One of the biggest drug dealers in town.
Okay, so y'all had a lot of activity.
We didn't know.
We didn't know.
Oh, you didn't?
No, we didn't know.
Okay.
He wasn't the head guy that had people coming to his house every 5 minutes. He was the guy that had weight.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, he was high up in the family organization.
Okay, gotcha.
And yeah, we didn't know. And remember the roaches in the wall?
Yeah. Well, we didn't know he was a drug dealer till we went somewhere for a weekend and came home and he had been busted. That's how we found out. But because we were so young, people wouldn't rent to us.
Oh.
And this was the only place that would rent to us. And we went in that apartment. You could.
Oh, I get chills. I can remember you could hear the bugs in the walls at night.
Roaches.
But we got through that and went to another place and got through that and went to another place and got through that, and finally we ended up going ahead and buying a house.
So how long between the last apartment and buying the house was it?
We lived in the first apartment for a year. We lived in the next apartment. Was that a year or 2 years?
2 years, I think.
Might have just been a year.
A year. David was born in that when we lived there.
And then the last apartment, we lived there about 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
So I guess 5 years in total, and then we bought a house.
Okay.
I mean, we were doing pretty good financially. We were doing okay, and to let us do that.
Yeah, financially we were doing okay, and a big part of that was David's father, Daddy Stephen. Yeah, who came over, and fatherhood is so important. And I can remember him coming to our apartment with his boards and cardboard and paint brushes and paint, and teaching David how to freehand, paint signs.
To hand letter
signs, which opened the door for David in the sign business, which played a, pretty good salary.
Which I'm still in today.
Well, yeah. And in the meantime, I went to, and this was thanks to Grandma Grace, at a roach infested apartment. The blessing behind that is that, there was an OIC. I don't know if people are familiar with Reverend Leon Sullivan and OIC, Opportunities Industrialization Corp, but it was a training program for urban youth. And I went there, and that's how I got in accounting.
Okay.
And that office was over the offices for Southland Corporation, which was 7-Eleven.
Oh, okay.
And they came one day, they wanted to hire a couple students. And I interviewed and got the job. So financially, you know, we were able to buy a house. We had some slim times, like, you know, everybody does, where you lose a job or whatever. And those, I think those were probably the times when things got rough, because financial problems can ruin a marriage.
Yes, they can.
You know, and I think those were the years when it really got like, I'm out of here. Rough. And I don't know, I was verbal about it. David wasn't. He may have been thinking the same thing. I remember saying to him, I love you, but I don't like you. And he looked at me, he said, that makes absolutely no sense. You know? And just like dumb, on my part, dumb stuff, like, I'm gonna take my rings off. In my mind, we're not married anymore. I'm not even sure why he's still here, but
Penance.
Penance. That's what it was. Somebody used to ask the question about that. What's he mean by penance?
I'm looking. Okay. I'm seeing if everybody has it. Somebody said, Aunt Linda, are you bossy? Oh, Doreen Denby said that.
Who said that? Who said, am I bossy?
Aunt Doreen.
Oh, my girl.
But I guess this was, well, when you guys first got married, you were 18 or 19. But I'm assuming the question, Aunt Karen asked how old you guys were. I'm thinking when you got your house, how old were you?
20, I think I was 26, 27, 26, 27.
Okay.
No, wait a minute, I can tell you. 26.
Okay. So that means you were 25, Aunt Linda.
Yes, we were fairly young.
So is it this house?
It's this house.
It's this house.
I mean, I know that's the child, the house of my childhood. So I didn't know if that you guys had another house or not. Okay.
No, because when we talked about moving at one time, and our nieces, our kids were like, fine, but like, you can't sell the house. This is the only house that's been in the family my whole lifetime.
Well, I mean, your house and Mama and Papa's house were the staples. Like, your houses were the staples. Like, well, at least for me, I can't speak for everybody else, but your house was a staple for me, because I spent Adrian and I spent a whole lot of time with you.
Yeah, cherished times.
Yeah. I mean, we have their memories of all the youngsters like you. At some point or another, everybody was around, everybody was here, it seems like. And I remember someone running to fix an IV. I got it. You were maybe 5 years old, and you knew how to work it too.
Yes. I got give me some credit because I was paying attention.
Yes, you were. Yes, you were.
Okay. So you guys got the house, and by now you've had David, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how was it being that young? Because not a lot of people can say that they were in their 20s when they brought their forever home. So how was it like what was the process that you guys went through to find the house and buy it?
Well, we had savings bonds.
Yeah, we had savings bonds and all of that we were getting them. That was the advice of my parents telling us, well, you get a bond every week, get a savings bond every week, put that $20 or $25 away. Okay. So we had a certain amount of cash, but we really couldn't afford the house we wanted in the neighborhood that we wanted.
Okay.
And I mean, we went and looked at some houses in other places, and then we decided we'd just wait. We had gotten to that point that we couldn't get what we wanted and where we wanted it, so we were going to wait. And we were at our fly-by-night realtor, and he said, well, you know, I got a house that you would probably like, but you won't like it. And we said, well, what's wrong with it? He said, it's dirty. Said the house is sound, but it's just dirty. So it was almost like we bought this house as almost a rehab. This was the ugliest house on the street.
Was it?
Yes, this was the ugliest house. I mean, you remember the old show where what was that on Living Color? Mm. Where the family sits on the couch and you see their Jerry curl sticks.
That was Coming to America. Oh, no.
Coming to America too. Everywhere they had furniture in this house, there was an outline of the furniture when they moved out.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
When we first came by, we wouldn't even come in the house.
No.
So,
we looked at it from outside.
Yeah, we said we ain't going in there. I mean, the whole bushes were grown up in front of the front windows, and all the windows, the garage doors hanging off slightly.
Oh,
oh, it was scary. It was the scary house in the neighborhood.
But Papa,
yes,
my grandfather, your great grandfather, who worked on a lot of houses, just told us which parks to look in and not buy anything any older than this. And, you know, said it was a sound house.
Okay.
Yeah. And actually knew the neighbors.
Okay.
Actually, they knew two of the people who lived on this particular street.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then the realtor, the agent, he was a nice guy. He said, no, not the realtor, the agent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And he said, well, you want to just go look at it? Because we couldn't find anything. We said, okay. So we came in and realized that most of the work was cleaning and cosmetic.
Oh, well, that's really good then.
So, because the house was sound, and we put in a bid on it. We bid it lower than they asked, and we got it. And then when they cleaned everything out and we came in, the poor agent, he just looked at us, handed us a champagne, and he said, I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry.
All over again.
Yeah, we looked around. It was like, but Mama and Papa and my parents and my aunt and uncle came, and we spent 2 weeks, almost 3 weeks.
And your mom and
Linda. And your mom.
Yeah.
Yep.
She's co-signing on YouTube saying that when you said the house was ugly, she said yes.
Oh yeah, it was ugly. Oh man, it was ugly. And we worked on it, and we got the inside to where we could at least move in.
Okay.
It was dirty, but they didn't have bugs.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just dirty. They had lived here for 10 years and it never wiped the wall, never cleaned, never ran a vacuum, never mopped the floor. It was just dirty. never
Okay.
cleaned the bathroom. You know, it was. I think my aunt spent almost the whole week in the master bathroom, just cleaning the shower glass and all of that.
Her and Linda.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
Yeah, because we didn't have. It wasn't like we had a bunch of cash left over to rehab.
Right.
You know, and my father was buying paint for us. My father bought paint, and we were throwing down.
Which is a support system, you know,
I was just thinking that.
especially getting married at our age and having good examples, you know, of marriages with longevity and that support system that, you know, mama willing to keep the kids when David was working second shift, I was working overnight and, you know, willing to keep the kids, babysit, you know, come over. And she would even come over and clean because my cleaning did not meet her standards any stretch of the imagination. But it took a minute. It took time to learn how to cook.
I'm not saying nothing.
Your face
Right.
did.
Right now, my wife is a great cook.
It took 5 years. The day I finally cooked something edible, and your mom used to laugh at me too. I didn't know these two were laughing behind my back, talking about my meatloaf. You could toast it in the toaster. And the chicken would be burnt on the outside and bloody on the inside. But I don't even remember what I cooked, but I just remember David sitting down and eating it because I thought I was cooking. And he ate it. He said, "That was good. I'm so glad you learned how to cook."
What was your reaction to that?
I was like, "What are you talking about? What you talking about, Willis? I've been cooking for 5 years, you know." But I got it.
I can't believe you couldn't cook after being with Mama and Papa.
Mama didn't like really anybody in the kitchen with her
Okay.
when she cooked. And actually, I think the beginning of me learning how to cook was my birth mother, Mildred.
Okay.
Because when she would come to visit, she would talk me through cooking things.
Okay.
You know, when I look back now, do this with your macaroni and cheese, do this, do that. And, you know, her tips, I guess, helped me in other areas too, because she was really, I think, a better cook than Mama was.
Was she?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Leslie has a correction about who was cleaning the master bathroom. She said it was her.
I thought it was her. Wasn't Linda in there with her?
But then it was her and Vera?
No, Vera did the other one. Sorry, sis.
That's all right. We'll put you out back to clean the new ones now.
She was here too. She was here. And we couldn't have done it without family.
Yeah, it never would have made it. Never would have made it. I saw that face.
What?
You put the meatloaf on 500.
You cut it with a saw and we played hockey with it.
Oh my God.
No, I'm not going to say that.
He wants to eat tonight.
Right.
Hey.
So funny.
But no, she did. I think that was the blessing that we had so much family to lean on, to tell us how to do things. I remember we needed we were over here sweating one summer, and because the air conditioning didn't work,
Mhm.
and Papa came over and he's like, "Oh, you need a new unit, you know." And he looked at the heater and he's like, "You need this too."
Mhm.
Well, one of my customers, one of my sideline customers, my side hustle customers, owned a distribution warehouse for heaters and air conditioners.
Mhm.
And so we went and we bought them wholesale from him, and Papa put them in for us, the heater and the air conditioner.
Mhm.
In fact,
Papa Blue. Go ahead.
Papa, Papa was the man. We just replaced it
Really?
just this year. Yeah,
Mhm.
6
Wow.
months ago. Yep, we just replaced them both.
Wow. I
So
mean,
I
he was
want
the jack of
to,
all trades.
yeah, emphasize the family support, but be careful. Don't You can't share everything with your family, because there'll be times that you two have made up and your family's still mad at, whoever, and that causes hardships and just, stick it out through those tough times. They do get better. And David never, and I was a professional student. I mean, I was always, going to school for something, taking a class, for whether it be something at church, whether it be something at whatever. But he never tried to stop me from pursuing an education or something that I wanted to do. So, well, thank you, babe. His being secure enough in himself allowed, me to do that. But as he'll tell you, he went to school with me because everything got
I
tested.
got my nursing degree, and I got my master's in public health too. How you like me now?
That's right.
Can't change people. I mean, in the beginning, I think part of the conflict that we had out is that I wanted to change him,
Mhm.
because I had this image of what the perfect husband and father looked like, and I would, try to make. The more I try to change him, the more he pushed back.
Mhm.
Yeah, resist. Yeah. So don't go into a marriage relationship thinking you're going to change the person. People do change over time.
People change over
Yes, we
time.
do.
We've definitely changed over
Yeah.
time, but you can't go in thinking you're the Borg and you're going to make everybody assimilate.
Mhm.
That's just not going to happen.
It's
Yeah.
not at all. I kind of made that same mistake myself, thinking that I can, try to change Tariq to be, what I envisioned my husband to be. Not that
Mhm.
he isn't a good husband, but, we all have this idea
Mhm.
of what our spouse should be like. And I had to learn that was just something I made up in my head. And I
Mhm.
had to accept him for who he is.
Mhm.
And, to be the husband that I needed him to be, which he's a great provider. He's in school with me too, or he was in school with me.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. One other little nugget I think we came along, we learned along the way was Linda was talking about not sharing everything that people say to you about your spouse or whatever.
Mm.
Sometimes the things people say about you to somebody else are the most hurtful and the most divisive of anything that comes along.
Right.
Um, I know there were some things said, and I you don't realize it at the time, and there was something said, and I related to Linda, and I didn't realize how deep that cut was.
Mm.
from what was said.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably something maybe I shouldn't have said, but I think I was trying to be honest about how people felt.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we still talk about that to this day. You know what I'm talking about too, don't you?
Mm-mm. They just want to marry her off.
With Gigi, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 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 yeah.
So it's just one of those, you, you have to be careful when you let other people in your business, and how much of what other people have to say you repeat while you're in your own business. You know, it's,
Right.
they said it, yeah, okay, that doesn't mean you have to repeat it,
Right.
whether it's true or not.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Sometimes the best statements are left unsaid.
They are.
I mean, I think it caused it cut deep with me, but I think because of how deep it cut with me, because it was just a straight up rejection.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it also, um, I think, caused a greater wedge between you and your mom
Yeah.
because of the comment that she made. Yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So, and then, realize too in relationships, there are people, not in this case, that there are people that envy your relationship. No
Yes.
matter how bad it looks from inside to you, there are, people that envy the fact that you're together and you live in a house, and
Mm-hmm.
they'll say little things.
Mm-hmm.
They'll plant little seeds to cause division in your home. And I'm thankful because that's something my grandmother just shared with me even before I was married is, don't run to your friends talking about your relationship and what's wrong, this and that and the other, because she had a good friend who did that, and the woman finally said, if I was you, I would leave him. And she did. And guess who ended up married to the man she left?
The woman.
The friend that she
Mm-hmm.
so you know, that's just life. That's just people. But I would be remiss to say that, to give God glory in this marriage being together, because when I would whine about David, why don't you change him? Why don't you make him? He would say, deal with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I had to deal with me and
Mm-hmm.
grow up because I was spoiled.
No doubt. Yeah, but we were both spoiled. We both kind of grew up pretty much spoiled, spoiled and naive.
Mm-hmm.
And you both were essentially the only child as
Right.
far as
Yeah.
being in the home. So it's easy to grow up and, be spoiled because of that.
Oh yeah.
You get all the attention.
Mm-hmm.
And you're very naive too. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's something you have to. You don't. Those brother and sisterly interactions really make a difference in um, how you can how you can deal with your surroundings, and just how you develop as a person. And I think it took us a while to get out of our own shells also,
Okay.
because we were in shells,
Mm-hmm.
and we were in that only child shell. I'm still in that shell though. It's mine, don't touch it. I'm still there, but it is what it is.
Well, I appreciate you guys being here. I have a question. What is the definition of spoiled?
I wanted things my way when I wanted it, how I wanted it. I wasn't used to hearing no from my grandparents. Like if I would ask my grandfather for $5 or whatever, he'd say no. The next morning I woke up, it was on my dresser. So that's kind of the way I looked at life is, well, you're going to tell me no, but you really don't mean it because
Yeah.
tomorrow
Okay.
morning you're going to give it to me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I just wanted I had certain expectations about what, we should be able to do, what the home should look like, what I should have. And I just would, as David one time said, you just want, want, want. Yeah. And which I didn't like, but when I thought about it, it was true. And comparing yourself to maybe other people,
Mhm.
keeping up with the Joneses.
Keeping up with the Joneses.
So yeah, just used to having things my way. So is that bossy, Doreen?
All right. Anybody have any questions before we close out? Send your questions now and whatever other comments you have. Let's go through some of these comments because you guys got a lot of comments today. Let's see. Kathy said, I was laughing at David, not at Chris's comment. Linda can cook.
Yes, she can cook now.
Chrissy said, yes, she is a great cook.
From a daughter that can burn water.
Oh, I didn't see it, Chrissy. Let's
You know what? I think Chrissy has went along the same path that Linda did. And Chrissy has become a great cook now.
Really?
Yeah, did I clean that up, girl?
All right. Aunt Karen said, how did you overcome that? What was it that you're asking how they overcame, Aunt Karen? Being spoiled? She said Chrissy said her family thinks that she is a great cook.
She is a good cook.
How many years have y'all been married? They've been married 47 years, going on 48 this year.
But I'm still 29.
The math does not work that way, Uncle David.
What was Karen's question?
How do we overcome? But you didn't say what. Overcome what?
Yeah, she just said, how did you overcome that? Uncle, let's see. No questions. I'm just grateful to hear this story. True blessing. That was from Ida. From my new aunt, you haven't met her yet, Aunt Linda. Her name is Roz. She said, I think some of our spoil is perspective, growing pains in a good way for knowing thyself. That was a good point.
That's good. Yes. Mm-hmm.
And she said, thank you for sharing and being transparent.
Oh, so that's who Roz is. Okay.
Okay. Learning to be content with who you are and who he is and being okay. That's what Aunt Karen said. How did you learn to overcome learning to be content with who you are and who Uncle David is and being okay with it?
So the first step was realizing that I wasn't going to change him. That he is who he is. That was the first step. And then as I, became more reflective with myself and I started growing and I became more secure in who I was and learning who I was, it took the focus off of him, and then I could appreciate things that in the past would make me, angry, or like David can be very protective. I'm much more of a giver than he is.
Mm.
So there may have been times I wanted to give something and he'd be like, no. I'm like, what do you mean no? But he was right. So he balanced that out. So as I learned me and as I became, you hear the story, 50-50 make 100. It's no 100. You got to be 100. When I got, and I'm not 100, but when I got in the 90 something percent, then I could appreciate how we really complement each other and how much of a support he's really been to me. And good father, and I could just step back and um, take the focus off of everything that everybody else was doing wrong.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of growing up, really.
Okay. Yancine said to you, Uncle David, you should have participated in Rekindle the Fire course.
That's
Sorry.
And Jermaine has a question for you, Uncle David. He said, after how many years did it take until you knew Aunt Linda was the one?
Well, I knew that she was the one long before she knew I was the one. And
That's true.
I would say it was, I can tell you exactly when. We were living in Lagore Square. It was summer, and I had a motorcycle, and I taught her how to ride. It was the day I taught her how to drive the motorcycle in the grass on the side of the apartments.
Wow.
How's that?
That's good.
That is very good. I have to question Tariq tonight to see where he was thinking.
So I guess that was about 6-8 months after we had gotten married. I knew she was the one forever.
Wow. And you guys have been together forever. And I am glad that, I've seen Mama and Papa together, but I was little. So I'm glad that I can see you guys. Our family has lasting marriages, but you guys are the pros because you have done this since you were 18 and 19, right? Or 17 and 18. So, I'm glad to see you guys together. You guys bring so much hope to me about my marriage, and just seeing you together encourages me. You don't have to always say anything, just the fact that I see Uncle David give Aunt Linda a kiss or whatever, it's encouraging to me, because things get difficult when you're married. So knowing that you guys made it through all of those obstacles and the storms is hopeful. What do y'all think? Everybody, you think that they are inspiration? This is why I called them the pros. I'm sorry. Tariq said that's awesome. 47 years.
Thank you, Tariq.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. He also has a question for you, Uncle David. You became the star of the show today.
Always. No matter where we go.
He said, what advice would you give men on keeping a marriage together?
Couple of things. You don't always have to be right. Cherish her like you cherish yourself. and learn 2 words. Yes, dear. And you'll be a king. And you'll be a king.
You hear that, honey? You'll be okay. Just tell me yes, dear, from now on, okay?
I'm not saying what happens after you say yes, dear. Because you give the yes, dear, and then a day later it's like, well, I told you about that. And it's like, oh, I forgot. Yes, dear.
Yancine said he's trying to be like you guys one day. What was the first tip that you gave Uncle David? Do you remember what the first thing was that you said?
What was the first thing I said?
Well, the second thing was cherish your like you cherish yourself.
Yes.
Lord Jesus, what was the first thing?
Here's a senior moment, a true senior moment. See, you can't even think of it, Ashley.
I can't remember either. You sure can't follow.
You have to rewind and look at the tape.
Yeah, I'll let him see the replay. I mean, y'all gonna have to catch the replay to see what he said the first time. That's sad. But I appreciate you guys coming on and, telling us your story. I've learned some things that I didn't know about before. So I'm glad that Linda finally broke down and accepted the invitation. But I'm really glad that you guys came on and talked to us, talked to my audience. Kathy said you don't have to be right.
Yep.
Yes.
You always have to be right. Thank you,
Right.
Kathy.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Kathy.
But I thank you guys. I thank everybody for joining us. And if you would like to tell your story, your love experience, DM me, let me know, comment on this video if you want to, and tell me that you would like to have a spot to tell your story, and I will get in touch with you and book you and send you all the information that you need about the show. And last thing is, what is your love experience? Till we chat again, guys. See you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. See, we're going to pretend we're on Hallmark.